House of the Dragon actually pulled it off. After Game of Thrones Season 8 concluded one of the biggest fumbles in television history, none of us expected a comeback like this. Keep in mind, most of this season takes place within 2 chapters of George R.R. Martin's Fire and Blood. And with just 10 episodes in this adaptation, it pulled record viewership numbers and got everybody hooked on Game of Thrones again. So, in this video, we are breaking down the Season 1 finale, reviewing Season 1 as a whole, and answering one simple question. How did House of the Dragon revive Game of Thrones? I have 5 major reasons, and the last one is the most important. Numero uno, we got a kick-ass finale. Episodes 9 and 10 of House of the Dragon were essentially sister episodes, with the former, called the Green Council, giving us Alicent, Otto, and the rest of the Hightower's perspective as they're scheming and plotting to take over Rhaenyra's rightful throne. Episode 10, the Black Queen, deals with the other side of the coin, centering on Daemon, Rhaenyra, their family, and their scramble to find allies in this impending war. Truthfully, episode 10 by itself isn't the most grandiose thing that we've seen from Game of Thrones, but taken together with episode 9, it is a masterclass in storytelling. It showed us the good, the bad, and the ugly that comes from 2 sides of the same family duking it out together to see who's boss. The episode started out on Dragonstone exactly how we expected. Rhaenys flies back to Dragonstone on Meleys's back after making the most killer exit in Westeros history to announce Viserys' death, which sets up a collision course between both sides of the Targaryen household. This scene by itself showcased perfectly why Game of Thrones is such a great universe and why House of the Dragon is such a rich show. It shed a clear light on all of the motivations between the characters. After seeing the painted table get lit up, we see how characters like Daemon are immediately ready to start a full-fledged war. Everyone in that room expects Rhaenyra to attack with haste, especially after Aegon's coronation sets up a precedent with the masses. Just like Otto Hightower says, he holds the Conqueror's crown, he has the Conqueror's name, and he's holding the Conqueror's sword. Of course, they're going to see him as the rightful heir. Even though she has every right to follow suit and take that course of action, Rhaenyra decides to embrace her father's way of governing and chooses diplomacy as the means to an end. Donning her father and Jaehaerys' crown, which is a really nice symbolic gesture by the way, she lets everybody know that her role as the ruler of the 7 kingdoms is to be the force of reason, to provide balance, security, and diplomacy. However, mi hermanita, this is Game of Thrones. You know exactly how this shit is gonna go. Sideways. The beauty in this finale stems from the fact that despite Rhaenyra's best attempt to be a honorable ruler, all of the odds are stacked against her. The attempt to usurp her throne, her father's death, and not knowing who will back her claim not only puts her in a delicate mental state, she is suffering physically as well. I'm gonna be honest with you, this is one of the most heartbreaking birth scenes I have ever seen from a television show. Visenya Targaryen has a premature stillbirth and does not make it out alive. Could you imagine having to deliver your own child, then proceed to lead over the cremation and the funeral, and then be expected to lead over a freaking army in an impending war with your own family? Bro, couldn't be me. Aside from that, we also get a similar ideological struggle the same way that we saw Alicent in episode 9. Rhaenyra confronts the opposing ideological stance of her partner, in this case Daemon. Moreover, she also has to work extremely hard to earn Lord Corlys' support as well as Rhaenys. It was a magical moment of character development and tension from everybody at the painted table, and then we get the moment that broke the camel's back and sent us spiraling straight into the Dance of the Dragons. Most of this season has both tonally and structurally been focused around family conflict. None of it could have been embodied more perfectly than the struggle between estranged cousins and even siblings. Lucerys and Jacaerys have been insulted publicly, forced to leave their home, and now have to grow up hella quick to help their mother win this incoming war. I truly believe this is the first moment in the entire series that Rhaenyra sees her sons as men, which is exactly why we cringed heavy as Rhaenyra decided that it was a great idea to send Luke over to Storm's End and convince a Baratheon to uphold his oath. Did she just not remember what happened in episode 4 with that man's father? First off, this little hoe, Boris Baratheon, he can't even read.
Where's the bloody maester?
And yet he quickly accepts an offer from Solid Snake, Aemon, in exchange for marrying one of this dude's daughters. I'm sorry, Luke, but mi pana, you fucked up. As soon as I saw that geriatric fire lizard known as Vhagar outside of the crib, I would have ridden back Arax back to Dragonstone in one single business day, quick, fast, and in a hurry. Even though we get a beautiful scene of Arax flying and you get Vhagar's scale flying up above him, and the fact that Aemon truthfully just wanted to mess around with Luke and have his debt be repaid since, you know, he took out his eye, we go to the extreme extreme, and therefore nothing will ever be the same. When it comes to the motivation, we also get a little tidbit of lore. Envoys are not supposed to be harmed when delivering a message. So this is exactly why Boris says, not under my roof, you can do whatever the fuck you guys want outside of my house. So even after a valiant effort from Luke and a sporadic decision made by Arax, since he can sense his rider's emotions, Vhagar does the same and defies her master's wishes and literally munches on Luke and Arax like they're a little piece of sashimi. To finish out the episode, this look, papa, holy shit. Everything this woman is about to do is justified, validated, and supported. Burn them all to the fucking ground. Okay, that was a lot. Are you still good? Are you with me? Good, because the number 2 reason is exactly why we love this series, the pacing. Not many high-end television programs would have taken a bet such as this one as HBO did. I'm referring to changing the cast near the middle of the season to cover the span of an entire journey. But somehow, some way, this show executed it beautifully. It doesn't even seem possible or comprehensible in theory how this would work, but in just under 10 episodes, we cover 19 years worth of backstory and conflict between the Hightowers and the Targaryens. Every single chapter had a clear purpose, whether it was to add tension on the family's already hasty relationships, bring some further complexity to the story, or give us a kick-ass action set piece. I am still amazed at the quality of the work performed by the actors that came in halfway through the season. Keeping the pacing going and not feeling like it drags on through this transition was a key factor for success. They carried the torch beautifully and landed this bad boy the way that we all wanted to see it. That right there is due to reason number 3, the god tier character development and the writing. Every single character in this project could get their own video, but I'm gonna keep this shit organized and just give you my favorites from the standouts. Viserys, Daemon, Rhaenyra, and Alicent are clearly up there. Millie Alcock and Emily Carey took their sweet time with their older counterparts, Emma Darcy and Olivia Cook, to understand their acting techniques, explore their mannerisms, and come to a consensus on how to play this estranged relationship. It's a tragic story between friends divided by the patriarchy, misogyny, and a world that is not built for them to succeed. I love both of their performances. Millie Alcock is my new pick to play Gwen Stacy in the Spider-Verse because of this show. Emily did great as well, but Emma and Olivia, oof, they ate and left absolutely 0 crumbs. The acting and chemistry from both of them showed us how a mother is willing to go through the extreme to protect her own, even if it means severing a lifelong relationship and plunging the entire realm into war. Likewise, the tug and pull dynamic between Paddy Constantine and Matt Smith as Daemon and Viserys was a literal godsend. Viserys never truly felt like a character that wanted the Iron Throne. He fulfilled his duties to the best of his abilities, but in order to do so, he has to push away his brother. Speaking of which, Matt Smith's portrayal of Daemon was a revelation. Without words, he could steal every single scene and give you regal stature to absolute crazy psychopath in literally 2 minutes. In the end, across decades of disagreements, a couple moments of friendly banter, and a bitter goodbye, both of these men left a profound impact on the show and us. I'll talk about all of the other characters in another video, but if I had to give you a top 5 of my favorites, this is how it would go. Number 5 is Rhys Ifans as Otto Hightower. Never have I hated another man in this show more than Joffrey, and this man took the cake. Numero 4, Fabian Frankel has everybody fucked up. Sir Kristen is a certified bitch, and he is the major reason for it. Although he hasn't been there for the entire season, I really liked Ewan Mitchell's portrayal of Aemond. It's mysterious, yet intriguing. I can't wait to see more of him in season 2. Plus, he's got an eye patch and a sapphire eye. This man is a fucking baller. But the top 2 couldn't be easier. In respective order, we have Lord Corlys Velaryon and, of course, Rhaenys Targaryen. This is the least toxic relationship in the entirety of Game of Thrones history, which isn't saying much, but they crushed it. The way that Steve Toussaint and Eve Best handled their changes of pace, the nuances with their non-verbal acting, mwah, chef's kiss. Are you getting tired? Me too. So we're gonna do a speed round through number 4, because one of the reasons that House of the Dragon was so badass is because of its technical genius. The score, sensational. It doesn't have as many iconic singular pieces compared to its predecessor Game of Thrones, but this one sets the tone perfectly. The visuals get an A+ in every single category. Cinematography, lighting, editing, a vibrant color palette, even the CGI, which had some problems at the beginning end of the show, they showed us dragons in a way that has never been done before. But above all else, the key for success on the technical side was setting up the scale. We have never seen the realm as clearly as we saw it here, from Driftmark to Dragonstone and even Storm's End. This insider peek into the different regions of the realm felt like a fresh take, and it was a welcome addition to the series. Finally, what is the most important aspect that made House of the Dragon such a success? Simple: moral ambiguity. From the very first episode, mi pana, we have been stuck between a rock and a hard place on who the fuck we are going to support. Sir Criston Cole, for example, was initially just following his duties, and then he turned into a scornful brat. Rhaenyra was vibrant and joyful, but responsibility, heartbreak, and deceit are turning her into a monster. Same thing goes for Alicent and by extension, her father, which did naturally start by helping out Viserys, his old friend. And then both of them turned into calculated manipulators of biblical proportions. And that right there is the key. It was all forged by great writing, dialogue, and pacing, which introduced us to a complex set of heroes and villains to the point that their struggles leave us in a pinch. We don't know truthfully who to support. Sorry, I'm capping. Everybody knows we're rooting for Rhaenyra. But you get what I'm saying, right? Somebody like Daemon can do heinous things such as divorcing his ex-wife of her soul with a rock and then have a touching moment in the throne room with his estranged brother and have us being like, oh, I love Daemon. It is this moral gray area that makes this show stand out, and I can't wait for season 2. Bottom line, in conclusion, House of the Dragon is one of those rare projects that succeeds at almost every single level. Each line of dialogue, the costumes, the characters, every large-scale action set piece, it felt like it was handcrafted with passion. Homie, it was must-watch television, and for good damn reason. That was the magic that we were missing and fiending for from the old Game of Thrones days. A gripping story with complex personalities, dubious moral boundaries, and razor-sharp dialogue that had millions of people discussing it on a daily basis. Do you support Rhaenyra? Do you support Alicent? Is Daemon a piece of shit, or is he a badass? Maybe both. We don't know. 10 weeks that turned into a roller coaster of emotions for all of us. And they capped it off with a beautiful 2-part finale that set up season 2 in the best way possible. This is going to be an instant classic worthy of repeated viewings, and I'm gonna give it a solid A+. And thus, it gets my Tropical Joe seal of approval when it comes to rewatchability. You already knew this was gonna happen. With that said, let me know what you thought about the show in the comments down below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think that Daemon was awesome? Is he a bitch? I need to know what you're thinking. As of today, of me recording this video, we don't know when season 2 is going to be filmed or when is it dropping. But until then, I'm gonna be covering every step of the way. So make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.